All right, we are back, and we are joined by Mr. Wonderful. He's a Hall of Famer, multiple-time champion. He's one of my favorites, Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff. How you doing?
Hey, Jack, how are you? You said all the right stuff, except I'm also a multiple Hall of Famer.
Multiple Hall of Famer. That's true.
Yes, I just got into the Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame, which is up in New York, and their ring is about twice the size of the ring I got from the WWE, so as you can figure out which one I wear the most.
You don't wear them both?
Nah, I ain't gaudy. That's too gaudy for me.
All right.
Yeah, I'll put one around my nose or something, huh?
Yeah, you can make them into earrings.
Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah. One would be a little lopsided, I guess. But what?
Yeah, it would.
Let everybody know you're actually going to be appearing for Promo Last in Atlanta. That's a Pro Wrestling Reunion Fan Fest, June 4th and the 5th at the Renaissance Concourse Center in Atlanta, Georgia. And all your ticket information is over at promolastevents.com, and there's a link right on our website, so you can click right on there, and it'll take you right there. You enjoy, going to these shows?
I love it. You know, I get to mingle with some of the fans, and a lot of them ask me questions and, different situations I've been in my career. And I guess I could say I've been very blessed being a pro ball player, too, as well, football in college and a Hall of Fame in college as well, and in high school. And I've just been blessed as an athlete, and I wasn't one of these old fat truck drivers out there riding down the road that decided he wanted to be a wrestler. I was a bona fide, blue chip, for sure, gonna make it, Mr. Wonderful.
Now, you say that you come from, legit sports and go into wrestling. Now, were you a wrestling fan and, it was something you wanted to do, or was it something like someone said, hey, you should try out for wrestling?
No, I wasn't into the phony stuff. So I just never watched it. Mm-hmm. And then finally, I got through playing ball. I've had several concussions and pretty much time to get out of that. And I had a good football career as well. I could have been playing there for a while, but injuries, that's what basically ended my wrestling career as short as it did, was an injury to my neck, and I've had 3 neck surgeries. But, I lost my train of thought, and you're going to have to remind me what we were talking about.
I just want, you come from college football into wrestling, and you said you weren't really a wrestling fan. Now,
right.
When you first started out, did you think, these guys, you need, maybe didn't have, respect for it? Did you, learn respect right away? How was it different than what you thought it would be?
I've always respected them. I believe an athlete is an athlete no matter what he does, and if he puts his time in and he plays it hard as he can possibly play it, and I have respect for that person or persons. And not that I didn't do it, I just didn't figure that was for me. And at the time, I was hardcore football and fullback, and, I loved to hit, and it just didn't interest me, quite frankly. It's not that I didn't respect it, it's just there was no interest there. So,
yeah.
A couple of years after my football career was over, I was watching it one Saturday afternoon with my father-in-law, and I got looking at that, and the more I watched it, the more intrigued I got, because I was watching the details, I was wanting to know this and wanting to know that. How did they do this and how did they do that? And I love to wrestle. We never really had wrestling, but I wrestled a lot. And, and during football, when we were practicing in spring, we would all the time have wrestling matches, and the object of the game was to rub the other guy's face in the dirt. And that's what we used to wrestle, before, I kind of liked it. And I said, I might try that. I'm going to try that. My father-in-law knew Eddie Graham. And one thing led to another, and Eddie said I could have a workout. And about 8 months later, I had my first match.
Another guy kind of... Yeah, go on, sorry.
And that's how it started. Hiro Masuda trained me, and Bob Backlund, and I can remember with the Briscoes, they helped train me some. And, you know, I had some really good teachers and guys that were very unselfish of their time and helped me out. And but Bob Backlund and Hiro Masuda was my trainers.
Yeah, there's always a famous story that Hiro Matsuda, when Hulk Hogan tried out, that he broke his leg, and he proved that he wanted to do it and came back and trained with him. Did they try anything like that with you? Did they try to stretch you or anything?
Sure. But you know something, I mean, it sounds like I'm bragging, but I'm not. I'm confident, and I wasn't just a normal guy off the street, man. I mean, I wasn't. I mean, I got drafted in the NFL, and that says something for itself. And I could handle myself very, very well, and that wasn't a problem. Believe it or not, no, wasn't a problem.
You said
might have been the other way around.
Right. You said you had confidence. Do you think that's something that you have to make it in wrestling? Like, have you seen guys that maybe had like all the talent, but didn't really have like the little bit of the confidence, a little bit of ego, and just didn't make it because of that?
Well, I think it goes deeper than that. I had this desire once I got into something, and if I liked it, I mean, the race was on, baby. I wanted to be to go to the top, and that was the thing that was pushing me. And of course, I didn't figure it out, but it's not what you got, it's who you know. but there again, I was always told, that Bob Orton Sr. told me, he said, once you learn your trade, learn it really good, and they can't deny you. And that was something I always went to bed with every night. I wasn't going to be denied, and I was going to know what I was doing in the ring, and I was going to be the best at it. And in my eyes, I was the best heel in the business at the time.
Now, I just want to bring up somebody because he's kind of similar to you, that he was a big college football player, and then went to wrestling, became a big star, who's also going to be a promo last, is Ron Simmons. Did you ever have any run-ins with Ron Simmons in wrestling? I can't remember you guys really working a lot together.
No, he was before me, and I was always somewhere else wherever he was. No, I didn't, but I know he was a good athlete, but he wasn't no Mr. Wonderful.
Exactly.
He was good, but let's say it like it is, man.
Yeah. Now the promo last is in Atlanta, Georgia. A lot of people probably remember you from wrestling in WWE, but you wrestled in Atlanta before WWE or WWF.
Oh yeah, I started in Atlanta.
Yeah. What would you say the difference performing in Atlanta against performing for WWF? How is it different?
Well, the crowds were about 5 times bigger.
Yeah.
Pretty much. At the time that I was with the WWF, it was hot. I mean, we got it hot. I was there from the first day. The first day that, actually, Mr. McMahon got in touch with me about 9 months before they were going to open. In other words, before Vince Jr. was going to take over. And I decided, because I'm kind of one of these guys that, I'm a renegade, sort of, I'd say. And at the time, the promoters in the South were, quite frankly, I think, ripping us off when it was coming to our monies, stuff like that. Mr. McMahon guaranteed me, he said, you'll make more money than you've ever made. I promise you. And I've known through Ernie Ladd and different people that I was friends with in business, they always said how Mr. McMahon Sr., how of a man he was, and if he told you something, you would. And I took it to that. And it was all true. Everything that they said they were going to do and did. And about 9 months that once the word got out, then Jim Barnett wanted to put me under a contract with Turner. And I could have made a pretty darn good living just sitting here, been here if I'd wanted to. But I like to jumpstart something, I like to be a part of something, The promoters down here, they're not going to let this happen, blah, 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 blah. You know how they are. That's just the way these old-time promoters were here. Mm-hmm. They tell you got a $10,000 house. Well, it's about $15,000, $18,000. And you get paid for a $10,000 house. That's what was going on here. And quite frankly, it pissed me off, man. I was, it wasn't right. Mm-hmm. I believe right's right. Treat me right, and I'll do you right. And it wasn't happening in my eyes, because I went in with the clique. I wasn't a clique guy.
Yeah. And
so I decided to go up there, and he sent me to Japan about 9 times in the last 9 months. No, I take that back. I went there about 5 times in the 9 months that I was waiting to go up there, and it all worked out beautiful for me. I mean, like I said, I've been blessed.
Yeah. Now, did they when they were trying to get you to stay and get under a contract, did they ever say anything about they'd want to put like the NWA title on you or anything like that?
Oh yeah, I was told that a number of times. Yeah, but it never happened, Like I said, I wasn't in the clique. I wasn't a real good company guy. Mm-hmm. And simply because, in football, when in football you earn your position. In wrestling, it wasn't about you earning it. They would give it to you. You know what I'm saying? A lot of guys had their position given to them, mm-hmm. simply because they were sucked into the office. And that's the way it was. That's the way it was, and I didn't really realize this. When it starts affecting your money,
right?
And it did.
We got a few callers here on the line, and anyone else wants to call in, it's 508-644-8503. Do you mind answering a couple questions from the fans?
I'll answer as many as the fans calls in. We'll answer them till we'll work on that 3 hours you were talking about.
All right, he's going after the George South record.
Yeah.
Jason on the line. He's calling in from Florida, I think.
Jason, I'm a Florida boy, huh? I'm doing good.
Now, I was born in 1982, but I was grown up in the whole, era of the Tampa Sportatorium, all that kind of stuff. I knew about, the Brandon Bull, Paul Orndorff. I heard about all those stories. Basically, what I want to know is the first Survivor Series in WWF. When you guys were going out there for the main event, did you guys realize that the Survivor Series concept would last around 20 years?
No, all I was worried about is how good we, did in that one. And, I was part of the biggest wrestling show ever. And to be a part of that, there was millions of people watching, and my whole focus was on that night. I never really thought about that other stuff, really. I never really got into that. I was concerned about my spot and for me to look good, which I did.
When the pay-per-view started, did you think this would become a big part of wrestling?
Well, yeah, we were told that it was going to happen every year, and depending on how good that one did, And I mean, I haven't watched them all, I'll be honest, but in my opinion, the card they had that night with the workers they had and the talent they had back then was the best card that's ever in any of the WrestleManias, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Not because I was on it, simply because of being the first time, the crowd, the sensation of it, the movie stars. We had movie stars. Man, I had movie stars wanting me to sign autographs for their grandkids and for their kids.
Yeah.
This is how hot it was. Everywhere we went, it was red hot. And I never been in anything like that one, the first one. Never.
No, in their first WrestleMania, and it's like you said, it's you and Roddy Piper, Mr. T, Hulk Hogan, even had Jimmy Snuka coming in. Now, some people say Hulk Hogan might not be the best wrestler or whatnot, but what is your personal opinions of being in the ring with him?
Well, he was the chosen,
Mm-hmm.
and I made a lot of money with him. He may not have been the best wrestler or whatever, but he, the people bought him, and they pushed him, and he came through for them. And he happened to be in the right position at the right time, and that's just the way it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think I could have done as good, if not better? But who's to say?
Right.
He did great, and I had great matches with him, some of the best matches I had. For a guy that they say can't work, he did a pretty daggone good job.
Mm-hmm. I guess
I loved working with him.
Mm-hmm. Well, my grandfather is the one who got me into wrestling as a little kid, and I remember he really hated you when you turned on Hogan, because I was like, that was a huge thing when you guys raised your hand and turned.
You tell your granddad I love him, because that was his job.
Exactly. What's like the feeling like to be in the ring and you do something like that and the crowd just turns on you?
Hey, if I could say it, I'd say it, but I ain't going to say it because it wouldn't be the right thing to say. But I loved it. I loved it. I had more things happen to me. People throwing darts in the ring, bottles hitting me in the face, 26 stitches, fights, fought my way through the crowds, people hit me with chairs. I loved it. I was, hey, that's what it was all about. And they used to tell me, Paul, you got to slow down here or something. Slow down, you're going to get hurt or something, blah, 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 blah. Hell no. I wasn't about slowing down, and I took advantage of the situation, and I ran with it as far as I could run with it.
Mm-hmm.
Most guys wouldn't have, I'll be honest with you, because it got hairy out there. I mean, when they start trying to tip your car and your cab over that you're sitting in, and the cab driver jumps out of the cab and leaves, that's telling you something. Right there at Madison Square Garden in New York City, the daggone cab driver got out of the cab and left the cab because they were rocking it so bad they thought he was going to tip it over. And from that point on, I rode an ambulance to Madison Square Garden, and the ambulance was stopped by the hotel and picked me up and take me to Madison Square Garden. That's when I turned on Hogan.
Mm-hmm.
It was the best angle, the best deal that I ever had. I mean, and I love working with Terry. He's a great guy.
Mm-hmm.
Got nothing but good to say about him.
From what I've always read, that your run with him, it still holds a record for the biggest house show draws of all time.
Right. Well, it's the largest outdoor crowd they had. I believe it was 77,000 people in Toronto, Canada.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a bad payday.
I would reckon not.
Most people work 2 years what I made in about 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm. No, you
that just goes to tell you who's got the most brains.
Exactly. Do you have anything else, Jason?
Just really quick, Mr. Orndorff. I'll hang up after this. I just want to hear what your thoughts were of your epic steel cage match with Hogan, where Danny Davis turned. And I'll hang up. Thank you.
all it was is proof that I was the best heel in the business at that time. I mean, that was a normal night for me. Now they say it's the best cage match ever in the history of wrestling. Mm-hmm. Well, it was. That sounds cocky. I know it does. But you know something? When you got it, baby. It's that simple.
Excellent.
Hey, right or wrong, let's say all of my fans out there at Tampa, Florida, and Brandon, where I grew up at, my brother and sister, let's say hi to them.
Cool. Hey, everybody.
And also the sheriff department for arresting me for getting in a fight. Thank you, sheriff department. I deserve it.
Now, did you get into a lot of fights outside of the ring?
Heck, a few. Until they started suing me, and then I had to quit.
Let's see. What else?
Wasn't my fault either. You get hit in chairs when you're walking through there, you'd start fighting too, wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm, definitely.
Get darts thrown at you. Two darts hit me in Maryland and missed me by 4 feet. I had a bottle hit me in Boston. My wife was with me. Got 26 stitches in my mouth. I mean, you'd fight too, wouldn't you? Now you'd probably run, Jason.
I know I'd run.
I'm joking, you, Jason. I'm good, Jason.
All right, thanks for calling in, Jason. You're a good man. We got El Santos calling in from New Orleans.
El Santos?
Mm-hmm.
Is that German?
I think so.
Santo.
Hey,
I'm here, Mr. Orndorff.
You doing, man? What you Cajun be doing down there?
What's that, man? That's right.
I love you Cajun people down there. I love them. Hey, I lived in Baton Rouge for a long time.
Right, that's right. And you always play with the Saints too, huh?
That's right, man. I was drafted by New Orleans.
That's right, man. Look, I want to tell you, I'm honored to be on the phone with you.
Yeah, same here, brother.
Your matches, man, in Mid-South. Saw you at the Civic Center in St. Bernard.
Yeah, you remember them?
Yeah, I remember them days, man. I remember that. And I remember you and Ted DiBiase. Those were the greatest matches.
Yeah.
And I want to know, who's your favorite opponent during them days when you was in Mid-South? Was it Ted or was somebody else?
I had good matches with Ted, Bruiser Brody. You remember Brody?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember old bro. Yeah.
Right. I had some good matches with him. And Stan Hansen had some good matches with him. There was a lot of guys. Young, I think it was Gary Young or something. I can't remember anymore. My mind's eluding me. I had some good matches down there, but I had some really good matches with Ted. I'd have to say probably Ted, yes.
Right.
Who will also be at Promo Last, everybody knows, and it's June 4th and 5th in Atlanta, Georgia. You go over to PromoLastEvents.com to get all your tickets.
Hey, do you live in New Orleans?
Yeah, yes I do. Yeah, I live in the Kenner area by the airport.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I used to stay out there.
Yeah.
When you gonna take me fishing, man?
That's right.
I want to go fishing.
Don't get spoiled from the oil spill.
Oh yeah, that's too bad. Well, let's go hunting then.
Yeah, I mean, so that's kind of messing us up, man. But look, I will ask you if I ask you one more. I mean, one match I remember with you and Ted DiBiase.
Yeah.
That he had this punch that he cheated on. He snuck you, and all these coins. It was like a roll of quarters. And all these quarters just flew all over the audience. I mean, was that something that he couldn't pull back on? I mean, did you really feel that impact?
I felt it. Yeah. I told him to lay it in there, baby. Hey, because if he would have hit me like a little girl, you wouldn't be asking me, well, did I feel it? No, I didn't feel it. But now that them cords broke and everything, and I told you, yeah, he whopped me.
Yeah.
But you know something?
Uh-huh.
Make a bit of difference. I still beat him, didn't I? Huh? Right? I just shook it off and covered him. 1, 2, 3.
That's great, man. That's
I'm
great.
kidding you, Bob. Hey, I'm kidding you. I hope to meet you someday. I really mean that.
Man, that'd be great, because I remember your brother, your younger brother.
Remember Terry?
With him and Junkyard Dog.
Yeah, Junkyard, man.
Yeah.
Junkyard Dog. I missed him. Yeah, I missed JYD. You know, he died. You know, he got in that car wreck and died. He took his daughter to graduation, and on the way home from graduation, dropping her off, is when he got in that accident and he got killed.
Right, I remember that. Remember?
When
that happened, yeah.
Man, you sound like a good guy, man. You sound like good people.
Right, yeah.
Most people that are from New Orleans in that area are good people.
Yeah. we're still here, man, you know.
I hear you.
We're still kicking, you know. Now we got this oil spill, but we're still here. We're fighting. We fight down here, man. That's why we won the Super Bowl.
I know it. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I was so glad. I was so glad you guys won it, because you tried for so many years, and you know, you may have not had the greatest and fanciest team, but you guys were good at every position, buddy, and that's what wins Super Bowls. You know that? And you had one hell of a quarterback. You got a heck of a defense. You got a bunch of men out there, and then that quarterback you got, I'll tell you what, that did it. I watched every minute of it.
Thanks for calling, Al Santo.
Thank you so much. Honored to be on the phone with you, Mr. Orndorff. You're one of my heroes from Mid-South.
Well, I thank you, brother. It's an honor talking to you, and I thank you for your respect too. Thank you.
Well, and who that?
Who that?
Speaking of Mid-South, what was it like working for Bill Watts? Because, you know, some guys really like him, some guys don't like him.
I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
But he was a butthole. I liked it, but he was a first-class butthole, and I hope he hears this. Because I told him anyway, right to his face. But you know something? I learned more there than anywhere I've ever gone. But I loved it. I really did. I liked the guy a lot. He used to fly an airplane. Now here's two guys there arguing back and forth while he's flying an airplane, because I'm bitching about I didn't get enough money for one of the shows that he did. And we're arguing back and forth here while he's flying us. He used to ask me to go with him on our trips, you know, to the towns and stuff. And but I liked him. I wouldn't change a thing. He was a fair man. He was just like me. Of course, he was my boss, so he'd always win out, and that's what made me mad at him.
Right. Did he ever fine you? Because I know he's pretty notorious for fining people.
I'm sure he did.
Right.
If anybody was going to get fined, I'm sure it would have been me. Oh, Lord.
Who else we got here? We got Dwayne calling in. Dwayne, where are you from? Alabama?
No, I'm from North Carolina.
Oh, North Carolina. Sorry about that.
I used to live in Charlotte, Dwayne.
Yeah, I live about an hour and a half from there, man. Charlotte's a good town.
Oh, yeah. I loved it. One of my favorite places. There was a church on every corner.
Yeah.
I'm serious. God was watching over me there.
Actually, Andrew and I met you in Charlotte at the NWA Fan Fest a couple years ago.
Oh, okay. I remember going there, being there.
Yep.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we were in the elevator. You walked in, and you said, "Hey, girls." You thought it was pretty fun.
Oh, I said that to you.
Right.
Right. Yeah, I saw you. I do that a lot.
Yeah.
Hello, ladies.
That's what it was.
That's what it was, wasn't it?
Exactly.
Right.
So,
Usually to get a laugh.
yeah, it was a good time. Well, so what was your question, Dwayne?
Well, I want to know, did you really knock out Vader?
One punch to the left, one left to a draw, and that was it, baby. And I had flip-flops on, and I kicked him in his face about 6 times till my damn foot broke my toe almost, kicking him in the face. His nose went on one side of his cheek. His lip swelled up. His face looked like a watermelon when they carried him out of there.
That's awesome.
And that's, I mean, there again, now it sounds like I'm bragging, but you asked me.
Mm-hmm.
So there really is no easy way of telling you in a real nice way, but to tell you just the way it happened. That's how it happened. He sucker punched me and knocked me down over some boxes.
Mm.
Trouble is, he let me get up.
Do you remember what it was about? Why it was angry?
He had to do an interview, and they'd asked me. They've already had a couple of guys. The referees asked him to do a 45-second interview for the show the following week. Well, when he sent them in there, they, he kept putting them off until I went in there. I think it was a setup. See, they expected him to beat my butt. I think Kevin Sullivan had it all set up. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure he did.
Mm-hmm.
But you know something that backfired on him. He got his butt tore up. And I mean tore up. If I'd had a knife, I'd cut his throat. I really would have cut his ear off.
Oh my goodness.
I would have too. Yeah.
Get
Thanks.
even for
I don't
Foley.
play fair, baby.
Well, did you get along with him before that incident, or was
Yeah.
it was always like
Yeah.
that?
Well, we were okay, He was a jerk.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but I got along with him, I got along with everybody. But he really was a jerk.
Mm-hmm.
He was a jerk to everybody. And I don't know what his problem was. He was on the wrong depression medicine or something.
Mm-hmm.
Taking too much or something.
I've heard people say like he could become a bully in the ring. Did
Oh,
he have
yeah.
that reputation?
Yeah. Yeah, he would bully people in the ring. I've seen him hurt people.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't ever care for him. I didn't dislike him. I don't dislike anybody anymore. But I just never cared for him. But got along with him,
Mm-hmm.
Never, no problems. But you don't go out there and hurt people when they're giving you their body. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You just don't do that.
Mm-hmm. There's nothing tough about that if someone's expecting you to take care of them.
Right. Exactly. And, but what I told you is the way it happened.
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks for calling in, Dwayne.
Thank you, Dwayne.
Thanks, Mr. Orndorff.
You're welcome, son. Thank you.
Let's see here. We got a lot of callers here tonight. We got Eric.
Now, what did you expect?
Oh, no. We didn't expect anything less. Eric.
Exactly.
Where are you
I'm
calling
here.
from, Eric?
I'm actually calling from New Jersey.
All right.
I feel sorry for you people.
Well, actually,
Why? You're too close to New York.
I just want to say I've always been a big fan of yours.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
I always thought you were highly underrated.
You're right. See? You're right, brother. But,
So wonderful.
hey, it's the game. If you're not part of the clique, that's the way it was. The only reason I made a good living at it is because I was pretty darn good at it. You know what I'm saying? I could still draw money.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to use me.
Your
Not
match,
so much that they wanted to, but they had to. If they wanted to make money.
Yeah.
your match that you had with Tito Santana.
Oh.
I think it was 84.
Yeah.
for the Intercontinental title. That was awesome.
Yeah, thank you, bro. That was probably, the top 5 or 10 matches I ever had. That was one of them. I had several matches with Tito that were great. I mean, I still got tapes of them, and I watch them every now and then, and it was just good stuff.
It turns out you and I have a mutual friend.
Uh-huh.
Do you remember playing college football with a guy by the name of Jay Franks?
Couch football?
College?
College football or just out in the backyard, Eric?
No. When he played football in college.
Right.
Oh, college. Jay Franks. That's, something, that does sound familiar.
He was my high school gym teacher.
That sure sounds familiar. Jay Franks.
Did he have good stories about Paul?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, when you said couch football, I thought you would. I didn't know where this was going.
And I also lived in South Orange, New Jersey for 12 years, not too far from Diamond Gym.
From where?
From the. Who did you say?
Diamond Gym.
Oh, Diamond Gym. Diamond Gym?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I used to train there.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. What was his name?
John Kemper.
Yeah, John Kemper. Kemper's Gym. Yeah, if he's out there, hello, John. But I sure did. John used to let me train there, and I used to go there and train all the time whenever I was in town.
And
right.
You also train with another friend of mine, legendary bodybuilder Bill Grant.
Yes, I remember him. Well, you remember that stuff. See, I vaguely remember it, but now that you bring it up, I do remember it. Does that make sense?
I loved the steel cage match with you and Hogan, and to this day, I still just do not understand why they didn't give you the title.
You know something? Just think now, if they would have given me the title, at that time, Hogan was taking an ass whipping, and the people really believed that I could beat him. People believed it. People believed that I would. And when they didn't do that, well, then they switched me back to a babyface. You see, they were so afraid back then that I would have been competition to him. But if they'd been smart, put the belt on me for 4 or 5 months, and then let me do something with Hogan and put the belt on me, and then when he beat me back for it, he would have elevated him up to another level. Because at that time, I was the only really good competition he had. I mean, if you look at the records of the houses with everybody he worked with, I think that our houses were bigger than anybody else's houses he worked with.
Yeah.
So that tells you something.
Thanks for calling in, Eric.
No problem.
Thank you, Eric. Good talking to you, buddy.
Problem.
Appreciate you.
A few people have asked about the cage, and Incher and I, over the last year or so, we've debated which is the better cage. Which did you prefer to wrestle in, the big blue cage or like the traditional wrestling cage?
Now, what do you think, Jack?
I think
traditional.
Paul,
you're crushing me.
You're on
You
my
deserve
side
it.
of this one, Jack. But Orndorff. I'm just never a big fan of the big blue cage. I always thought it looked kind of corny.
Yeah, you mean You're talking about the ones they use now?
Well, I mean, I guess it would have been the one you had with Hogan, the big blue one.
Oh, hell, I don't even remember it.
Oh, okay. It was different than the other ones. Was kind of like the chicken wire.
No, I don't. I like the old cages. You know, the old with the bars and stuff, not the chicken wire stuff.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so
All
he's on my side, Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the one I liked. I'm sorry. Maybe I was in La La Land.
No, that's all right. I understand.
I'm watching my hunting show and talking to you at the same time, and this guy's dragging out a big old buck because I'm a hunter. I like to kill, and I love it.
What do you like to hunt?
You name it.
It's kind of scary.
No, I'm a deer hunter, turkey or hog, and that's something I've done ever since I've been about 6, 7 years old. I've been a hunter, and I do a lot of hunting. Now I'm taking my grandson. He's 10 years old, and he killed his first hog and his first deer last year. So now I got to get him a turkey.
We got a lot of wild turkeys around my area.
Yeah, I bet you do.
We got Gene calling in. Gene, where are you from?
I'm from no man's land.
Uh-oh.
This sounds like a Gene that I know.
Hey, Paul. Hey, you gotta excuse me. I've been drinking vodka all night, but
That's cool.
I just want to say I hear you cook up a mean hog.
Who told you that?
I remember that because I saw a tape, a little documentary DVD where the Iron Sheik showed up at your place and you told him you just caught a wild hog and you cooked it up and if you wanted to stay and hang out. Remember that?
Yeah, I do. I sure did. I sure did, man. I smoked that hog up, smoked it for about 10 or 12 hours in my smoker. Killed about a 200-pound hog. I shot it with my bow. Then I cut his throat and to bleed him out. And I hope all the people out there that hate hunting listen to this. Then you'll really hate me because I love to eat wild game. I love to eat deer, turkey, hogs, squirrels, rabbits, especially little rabbits.
Watch out, Bugs.
Another thing I wanted to say was I know you got some great crazy stories with the Iron Sheik. I always ask this question every time I call the show. I know you got some crazy stories.
Yeah.
I think
What do you want to know?
I mean, pick the best one. I mean, I know this guy's done some crazy stuff on the road.
He wants to know a story about the Iron Sheik.
Oh, boy.
There's so many of them. I know.
Well, he got arrested and going across the Canada border.
Mm-hmm.
And you can guess with what. He didn't know that's illegal over there.
And another thing I wanted to say, on a serious note, when I watched Fall Brawl 2000, when you caught that stinger in the middle of the ring and you didn't move, I gotta say I caught a tear to my eye. It really impacted me. But when I heard you were doing better soon after that, it was great news. How did you feel just laying there? And the guys, I mean, everybody thought you were still working. No one realized that you were really hurt. I mean, what was going through your mind?
Oh, well, I had to get another surgery. I've had 3 neck surgeries. And that was the last one that I had. That one paralyzed my right arm. I can use it just a little bit, but I've lost about 90% of the strength, and it's atrophied up really bad. It's about 3 inches smaller than my left arm. And, that was my 3rd surgery. I got titanium rod in my neck and bone graft and you name it, nuts and bolts and screws, you name it, I got them. So my neck will not take any more injuries. That's it. I mean, if I were to get hit from behind in a car accident or something, it could kill me, paralyze me. One of the 2 things is going to happen. It's going to kill me or paralyze me. But I appreciate that, man, because that was real. That was real. Yeah, they flew me home, and a few days later, I had surgery done to it.
Wow. And one more thing. What city has the best rats?
Best wrestling? Well, I'd have to say, there's a lot of good cities got wrestling, man. There is. There's a lot of good places. I mean, some are better than others. Where are you from?
I'm from Connecticut.
Connecticut has really good wrestling.
What about the rats? We want to know about the ring rats.
I couldn't tell you about that, bro.
Thanks for calling in, Gene.
Hey.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate you.
I love you. Thank you.
Thank you, bro.
Let's wait for the book on that one. Did you have a question, Incher, from the board?
Yeah, I had a question from the message board. Glogo13, he wants to know, who was the toughest trainer at the power plant? Was it you or the Sarge?
Well, what do you think? He's a midget. I ain't. They got this little 4-foot midget out there trying to be like Sergeant whoever. Well, what do you think? That's a dumb question.
Was that something you enjoyed, though, training guys?
And he was a fat, short midget. Case closed.
Was that something you enjoyed, training guys in the power plant?
No, I hated it.
Yeah. That's something you'd ever think
I don't like people.
Uh-huh.
Especially dumb people. Especially dumber than me. And that's pretty bad. That's why I hate myself.
Was there anybody that came out of the power plant like you really thought would make it big?
I'm joking you. I did love the power plant. I did, man. I enjoyed training them. Sarge did a good job, too. He did a good job. I'm joking with him. But, let's see. There was a couple kids, but I can't remember them. Hey, I'm 60 years old now. What I used to do all night takes me all night to do now. I can't, I don't even know.
Let's see. 318 area code. I'm not sure who this is or where they're calling from. Who are you? All right. Well, Chris, where are you calling in from?
How you doing, Mr. Orndorff?
Hey, Chris.
How you doing?
I'm good, buddy. How are you doing? Where are you from, Chris?
New Jersey.
Are you the same guy that just called a minute ago, or the same guy from New Orleans?
No, it's a different guy.
Okay, Chris. I believe you.
Yeah. I heard what you said about the power plant earlier, about the Sarge. I got two questions about the power plant and one question about Paul Roma.
Yes.
The first two is, how do you feel about the Sarge treating the power plant students? And number two, do you know what happened to the power plant building and the rings and the banners once WWE bought WCW?
Could you repeat that first one again? My hearing isn't the best anymore, Chris. And
he wanted to know what you thought about how the Sarge treated the students in the power plant.
Well, he treated them the way I told him to treat them. I mean, listen, I treated you, and he treated them the way that I was treated. That's how I was treated. When I first started wrestling, they put me through you know what. I don't mind telling you, I've been through a many. I've been in 4 days in football camp in New Orleans. Nothing was harder than what Hiram Masuda and Bob Backlund put me through. They wanted me to quit. They tried to get me to quit. And that's exactly what we did. If you don't have enough pride, if you don't want it in that power plant, you weren't going to be there. You weren't going to waste my time. And that's exactly what we tried to do. We tried to run people off. And the ones that made it could have worked anywhere they wanted to work if they would have had an opportunity. Because those kids that we did have that did stay there, they worked hard every day. And they went through it, and they didn't complain. Those are the kind of people you win with. And I had quite a few of them that stayed there. And they made a decent living, too. And the other thing is they sold all the rings, all the banners and all that. They just got rid of everything. You know, it just, whoever wanted it, the equipment, some of the weight equipment, different people bought them. You know, it just went here, there, wherever they could get rid of it, and whoever wanted it could buy it and put a bid in for it. Does that answer your questions there, Chris?
Yeah, one more about Paul Roma.
Oh,
I also like working with Paul Roma in WCW.
I love working with Paul. You know, in the beginning, he was a little, well, his style and my style were a little different. So he had to catch up with me to be in my style. For us, the team, to work together, you know what I'm trying to say, to really, to work together as one. And it took a few months, but boy, before it was over and done with, Paul Roma was doing really good. I was very, very proud of him. Very proud of him, and I'm glad that he was my partner. Absolutely, Paul. If you're out there, brother, I love you.
I always thought he was really underrated. I know some people people say like bad stuff about him because they kind of make fun of being the Horseman and stuff, but like as a wrestler, I thought he was great.
He did a good job, man. He started clicking.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he really did. It took a few months, you know, because it just, you know, I'm one of these perfectionists. And if, you know, if I have a downside, it would have to be that. I mean, I want it to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to do. And so I'm starting to accept that now, finally. Took a while.
Thanks for calling, Chris.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, Mr. Orndorff.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I actually thought his team with Hercules was good, and it didn't really last very long in WWE.
Yeah, but Paul did really good. I don't know why Paul quit. I think he had a lady friend, and she probably didn't want him to be on the road all the time because it's a grind, you know. Mm-hmm. It's a grind to be gone 4, 5, 6 weeks at a time, and being away from your wife or your kids, or just away from home in general. And it was tough, man. It got tough. I tell you, I'm the type of guy that, you know, I could have played football pretty much anywhere I wanted to in college. I had a lot of scholarship offers, and I stayed 30 minutes from my house and went to the University of Tampa. And so I'm one of those home-type guys, you know. I like to be in my home and in my own bed every night, and it took me a while to get used to it.
Mm-hmm. There's another guy who wrestled in WCW, went on to be big stars, Mick Foley, Cactus Jack. You guys had like a Falls Count Anywhere match. What did you think about working with him, and did you think he would go on to become such a big star?
Cactus Jack?
Yeah.
Oh, man. We had some great matches.
Yeah, I love those. That was like one of my favorite times when you were feuding with him.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. No, it doesn't surprise me. All the guy needed to do is somebody give him a chance. Mm-hmm. And Vince gave him a chance. The guy had it in him. Any man that'd go out there and give his body, to put his body through the stuff that boy's put himself through. And, you know, he's a smart kid, too. He's no dummy. He wrote a book, mm-hmm. and he's done some stuff. And I tell you what, his brain is ahead of his body. I can tell you that much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Body looks like hell, but he could just, holy cow.
Uh-huh.
But he's smart, you know, and he's got a good head on himself. And he loved the business. He loved it the way I loved it. It's just in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he did very well. Did well. Vince gave him a chance. He did good. Anybody to take some of the bumps that boy took. Of course, he's paying for it now.
Yep.
And that's what happens.
Mm-hmm. But, you know, if he didn't take those kind of bumps, like you said, with his look and stuff, he might not have made it as big as he did.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, my God, I remember working with him and suplexing him over the daggum handrail in his back. I thought he was bent the other way. He said, do it. So I did it. And how he took it, I don't know. It amazes me.
Yeah.
I'd have to say he took some of the craziest bumps of anybody I know of.
Mm-hmm.
Unnecessarily.
Mm-hmm.
But he did that. That's how he got over. That's what he knew how to do. And that's what he did. He did whatever it takes to get the job done. And he did it.
Mm-hmm. Who else we got? We got Carol. He's calling in. I think he's in North Carolina, too.
Who?
Carol.
Carol?
Hey, Mr. Orndorff.
You sound like a guy.
I am.
Oh, I thought your name was Carol.
No, it's Carol. you probably remember me from the Fan Fest at 2007.
Hey, Carol, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good.
Okay,
You
2007.
probably remember me because I was at the Fan Fest 2007 and I was with Jackie Crockett. You remember Jackie Crockett?
That turd.
Yeah.
Tell him when you see him, I think he's a turd. Little short turd. Tell him I said hello, will you?
I will. I'll tell him that.
I'm joking you. Jackie's okay. I couldn't stand his brother, though. I mean that.
Yeah?
Hey, I mean that.
Which brother?
Name him.
David. David or
David.
Jim.
No, that's the other one.
Jim Crockett?
Jimmy.
Jim
Jimmy's the
Crockett.
other one.
Jim Crockett is the little one that thinks he's Hitler.
Yeah.
That's him. I'd like to slap him. I'm serious. Makes me mad thinking about him.
Well,
Yeah, he's a jerk. He was a first-class jerk.
Was there any story there?
Could be. But you won't know it.
We'll have to wait for the book for that one.
Here you go, baby. How you with it, Jack?
We get that a lot, though. A lot of people get along with Jackie, and not the other ones. Maybe David.
No, he is. Well, I'd like to see him again now that I don't work for him.
Mm-hmm.
I'd tell that little fart what I think of it.
Jackie's a friend of the show. He's called in a few times to talk to the different guests we've had on, and
Yeah, well, let him call in to me.
yeah. I meant Jackie, not the other one.
Oh, Jackie, okay. Jackie's okay. I like him.
Yeah. Did you have a question,
No.
Carol?
Yeah, what I wanted to say was I wanted to say thank you for giving me your autograph, and I appreciate everything you've ever done in wrestling because I followed your career, and you gave it every night, night after night when you had to wrestle for WWF, and then when you came to WCW, and when you wrestled there. And I remember in WCW, I was watching on TV, when Arn Anderson came out there and attacked you, and he done, like, I guess, the DDT on the floor, and it hurt your head real bad.
Yeah,
And,
I got a concussion.
Yeah, and I really felt sorry for you because of that. because I've watched wrestling for 38 years, and I loved every minute of it. And when I got to go to the Fan Fest for the first time in 2007, and when I met everybody up there, and I met you,
Sure.
I shook everybody's hand and told them thank you, because y'all put on a good wrestling match every single night, every single weekend. You put your bodies on the line every night.
Yep,
and,
we did, man.
And I do appreciate everything you've ever done in professional wrestling. You probably won titles, and you probably look at everything that you've been in wrestling and everything, and I do appreciate everything you've ever done in professional wrestling.
Well, thank you, Joe. I appreciate those kind words, and I appreciate it. But without you fans being there, hey, it wouldn't have happened.
Mm-hmm.
If there'd been 10 people there, I would have worked just as hard, though, Carol. That's the way I was told to be, and I did.
Yes.
And it grounds everything that I've always said and thought. That and when you by saying what you just said, it just grounds everything. It's what I tried to do, and you saw it, and that's good to hear. That's just good feedback.
Thanks for calling in, Carol. We really appreciate you calling in, man.
Cool. All right. But I do appreciate everything you ever done.
Thank you, Carol.
I really do, because it means a lot to me, and it means a lot to all the wrestling fans that watched wrestling every weekend and every Monday night when WCW was on. And I just appreciate everything you've ever done in professional wrestling.
Well, Carol,
thank you so much, Carol. I appreciate you.
Yep. Thanks, man.
Thanks.
And let everybody know
All right.
again, too, is Promo Last, Atlanta Pro Wrestling Reunion Fan Fest, June 4th and 5th at the Renaissance Concourse Center in Atlanta, Georgia. And ticket information's over at
June 4th and 5th.
Yes.
Don't forget it. Mr.
Exactly.
Wonderful will be there.
Exactly.
There.
He will be. And Lex Luger will be there. Lots of people will be there.
Yeah, it'll be good. I'm looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to go but about 25, 30 minutes.
No, it's not far from you, then.
Did I say that? Huh? I didn't say that, did I?
No. So,
Okay.
when you're at these, has anyone ever asked you to sign anything unusual?
Yes.
Anything you want to say?
No.
Inch, I told you not to ask him to sign that, man.
Yeah.
Well, let your mind wander.
Well, let's see.
In my book. Not really. No. Not really.
Just
not really.
Stuff. Yeah.
No. Everything's pretty much been up and up.
Mm-hmm.
A few T-shirts and stuff like that while they were on, but nothing. No.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have done it anyway.
All right.
You believe that, don't you?
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, thank you, guys.
We get Joel calling in from Portugal.
From
Hello.
Portugal?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For real?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
Portugal near Spain. Yes. How you doing, Mr. Orndorff?
Hey, Joel.
Hello?
You're from Portugal.
Yeah.
Is that in the United States?
In the United States of Europe, yes.
Oh, okay. Well, before it's over and done with this president we got, we'll probably all be one big old country.
Maybe one day.
Yeah, remember that. Don't vote for him.
No, I won't. I'll keep that in mind. Yes.
Please.
Okay. I'll do that. I have two quick questions to ask you, if you don't mind.
No, I don't mind at all.
And I'll do that.
Turn the time, though, because I'll forget the other two.
Yeah, okay. Let's then proceed. You worked in the creative department of WCW. Well, was it easy to work in WCW in their creative department, or was it a little restrictive due to the egos within that promotion?
Oh, there was egos, but hey, the guys, I got along with everybody, and listen, everybody was trying to keep a job. Everybody was trying to, keep their jobs, That everybody tried to get along as best they could.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it wasn't easy with some of them, but I've been around them all, I've been around all of them. And as far as dealing with somebody or something, I mean, their ego couldn't have been any worse than mine. So, I didn't look upon them in a bad way or whatever. When it came time to do business, though, then it was a different story. It was time to do business. You know what I'm trying to say? You can act all like you want to, but when it comes down, when the rubber meets the road, then that's when we'll talk. That's when things got to be done, and they're going to get done. I'm with the office, which I was, and they were done. That's what they paid me for.
Okay. My other question was, you joined New Japan Pro Wrestling
right.
during the time when they're doing the transition from strong style, more physical style, to an MMA like shoot style of wrestling. Did you have any problems adapting to that style?
No, I think you're right. I was in that transaction because me and Fujinami, I worked with Fujinami about every night. And we did a lot of wrestling, we did a lot of groundwork and, a few submissions and stuff like that, the obvious kind of submissions. And I liked it. I mean, it was right up my alley. I mean, it was 100 miles an hour and for 20 minutes, it just boom, boom, bam, bam, bing, bing, boom. It just nonstop. And he could go too, so I had some good matches with Fujinami. Although I think that style of wrestling over there, they should have kept it because from what I hear now, it's really gone bad, gotten pretty bad over there now. Have you heard the same thing?
They were doing the transition again to shoot style, which is sort of like MMA, more submission based. But I think New Japan especially is getting back to strong style. The matches that you had with Fujinami were there was a lot of physicality, a lot of fast-paced wrestling. At least New Japan is doing that transition. Though Inoki has a promotion, Antonio Inoki has a promotion where it's pretty much just shoot style. But New Japan is doing quite fine in terms of business and the style of wrestling in there. So maybe other promotions are not doing as well. So
right. Oh, well, good. I've the other promotion. Who is that?
IGF, Inoki's Genome Federation. It's just Inoki's new wrestling promotion. He brings MMA guys to do alf-acid wrestling matches and stuff like that.
Well, that ain't going to work very good, is it?
No, it doesn't.
I mean, it takes time to learn how to do it, and you're not going to learn that overnight.
What was it like wrestling in Japan where the crowd reaction is different, where they would only kind of politely clap for the big moves, and it's a lot different from the United States.
Yeah, that was definitely different. It took me a little while to get used to that, but after a while, the claps started coming, and it all depended who you were working with. A lot of it, depending who you are. And, I like to take bumps, so there was no problem there. I got along good. I mean, I liked it over there. It's just so far away from home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I don't like rice.
I was going to ask you, I mean, you're smoking the hog and stuff. Well, what did you think about the food over there?
Food was okay. Yeah, it's different from over here. obviously. But they had a lot of chicken and pork, stuff like that. It was all right. Food wasn't bad at all. It was okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad.
Yeah. Incher, did you have a question?
Yeah, I did actually. Rerun from our chat room. He wants to know, what did you think of working with Mr. T?
What do I think?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. What do I think about Mr. T? Well, I can tell you this. If he would have tried to steal the show, I can assure you that Mr. T would not been Mr. T no more.
Mm-hmm.
If you know what I'm saying. In other words, if he would have went in there and tried to do something he shouldn't have tried to do, he would have been in trouble.
Was he respectful of you guys? Did he
Yes.
have like an ego or anything? No.
Yes, he was.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole thing is the respect. If he would have went in there, and because we had such a big house, a big crowd, if he would have went in there and tried to take control of the match, it wouldn't have happened. Trust me, it would not have happened. We'd already talked about it.
Was there anybody in wrestling that like in your prime you would have like tried to stay away from and not like got into a fight with? Like you think maybe you couldn't take this guy?
No.
He beat up Vader, Jack.
I know. I'm just
Well, even if they could have, I would have had to. That's just the man in me.
Right.
But no. No.
Besides yourself, who would you say like were like some of the toughest guys that you were from your era? I've always heard stories about Ming being a really tough guy.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've never seen him in action. I don't know.
Right.
You don't know until you see somebody in action. Mm-hmm. It's hard to tell. Somebody you just never know. My father always said, and that's where I was respectful of people and my fellow wrestlers. You never know what you're dealing with. You never know. Just because a person don't look it, or a person that does look it that isn't, you can't never judge them. So don't ever judge a book by its cover.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that, Especially nowadays, they'll shoot you. Yeah.
That just ain't plain fair.
Kill somebody nowadays, you'll be out in 2 years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But along those lines, I'm not judging a book by its cover. A guy that I always thought was really good, and if you look at him, you probably wouldn't think so, but was Adrian Adonis. What were your thoughts of him as a worker?
He was a good worker.
Yeah.
He was a lot like who's we talked about a little while ago?
Mick Foley?
Yeah, Mick Foley.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why is he laughing at me every time I ask to repeat whoever we were talking about? Somebody's laughing back there.
Is that Incher? Are you laughing?
I don't think it's me. I think it's the caller. I'm blaming the caller.
All right.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's me then. Maybe it's me. Yes. Adrian was a good worker.
Mm-hmm.
He was. He could do a lot of those crazy bumps and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Bumps that'll. I could tell you, I wouldn't do them. No, I wouldn't take a bump like that. Of course, they had a lot of cushion too, though. You got to understand. I was about 4% body fat, and they were about 80% body fat.
Right.
You get my drift?
Exactly.
So, they could get away with it a lot better than I could have.
Mm.
You know.
We got a couple more callers. We'll try to get to them quick here. We got Spec Son. He's calling in. I think he's from Carolinas too.
Yeah, hello guys. Hello, Mr. Wonderful.
Hey, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing great. Yeah, Jack.
Your name?
My name is Brandon, but my code name here on your text.
Well, I'm gonna call you Brandon because I went to Brandon High School in Florida.
I love it.
Is that okay?
Yes, that's great. That's great.
Well, it's going to have to be.
Well, that's exactly what it's going to be then.
I can't hear you.
Yeah, you're not coming in real clear. So ask a question, and if he can't hear you, I'll just repeat it for him.
Okay.
If I can.
My first question is, what are your thoughts on?
I can't hear. We can't hear you, man. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry you had a messed up connection there, Brandon. But
You got it, Brandon?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. What's your question, real quick?
What are your thoughts on
Herb Abrams, UWF. Yeah, I think he was asking about that. What were your thoughts on Herb Abrams, UWF?
Jack, can you repeat that?
He want to know what you thought about Herb Abrams, UWF.
Oh, I liked Herb. He was a basket case, but I liked him, man.
Mr. Electricity.
Hey, he had this little guy type of attitude, you know, and I liked the guy. Hey, I liked him. And I heard, you know, when he died, I felt really bad. I felt bad for him. But I liked Herb. And he had a good idea, you know. He was trying. And he had some money there for a while, and then you know, I think his wallet wasn't quite big enough, you know, to do what he wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
had a great roster.
I liked him as a person, yes.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thanks for calling in, Brandon.
All right, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, you have another question quick?
Yeah, I have one more question. Shortly after you won the World Television title in WCW, I noticed you teamed with Ravishing Rick Rude, who was the U.S. champion at the time. Could you just share some of your thoughts on your tag team partnership with Rick Rude and just Rick Rude in general?
Rick Rude?
Yeah.
Oh, man, one of my best friends. I like Rick a lot. He was good people. He was right up front type guy. You know, he didn't pull no punches or anything, and he was just funny as heck. He had me laughing all the time, and we got to where we were making trips together, and I took him hog hunting for the first time, and he bought this gun, and I asked him, did he get it sighted in, and he said, yeah. And he shot at the hog. It was about 20 feet off to the left. And he didn't sight it in. He had it bore sighted. And all that does is get you on the paper. He didn't even know what I was talking about when I said, have you had it sighted in? This guy here was the most dangerous guy I knew with a rifle. Here I am out trying to teach him how to hunt. And it got to be the Loyal and Hardy deal, man. It was funny, and I had some good times with Rick Rude, man. I was a pallbearer at his funeral, and it tore me up. You know, I'm sensitive when it comes to stuff like that and people that I care about, and I sure miss Rick a lot. He was one of my good friends, really good friends.
I see a lot of... You go on, sorry.
I felt bad for him, you know. He had a few problems, and, you know, he was hurt and couldn't work really anymore, and it just got the best of him. He loved the business so much, and he couldn't do it no more, and I think it just tore him up.
I always saw a lot of similarities between you two guys because you're both, like, in great shape, and you're both great heels, and you guys both took like big bumps for, you know, big muscular guys. And
right. Rick was, Rick even told me, you know, because I'd probably been doing it a little longer than him, that he used to take some of the stuff I used to do, and he did them, and he just kind of did it in a little different way. And that's what I did. I saw certain things that people did, but I did them in a different way, you know, because a bump's a bump. It's just what you do with that bump. And you come up with your own idea and ways of doing things. And he's a talent that surely is missed, and he's a friend that I think about him still.
Mm.
I hate to see him gone.
Thanks for calling in, Brandon.
All right, thanks, guys, and thanks, Mr. Wonderful, for everything you've done in the business. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, Brandon. Take care of yourself, my friend.
All right, you too.
Bye.
Let's see, we got Jai calling in from Massachusetts.
Hi, Mr. Wonderful.
What's happening? How's the cards? You got a car? You got shots on? People from Massachusetts.
I'm from Massachusetts myself.
Oh, okay. Where's the shots and soda pops tonight?
Pack the car at the harbor.
Hey, we had a guy named Tomeo, Dave Tomeo. He was from Boston, Mass. Have you heard of Jim Delgazo?
I have not.
He was from Boston. I played football with him. But go ahead, my friend.
Yeah. Did you ever wrestle at the Cape Cod Coliseum?
Who?
The Cape Cod Coliseum.
Cape Cod. I don't know. I don't know if I have or not. I've been so many of them. It doesn't.
Vince McMahon.
It's possible.
Jr. owned it.
What now?
I think the place was unique because McMahon Jr. owned it.
It was a Coliseum here on Cape Cod that Vince McMahon Jr. owned.
No, I must not have been there.
Yeah.
I don't believe I had that.
And my other question is, I know you trained in Atlanta. Did you ever work with Mr. Hughes? Because I know he's training in Atlanta too.
Mr. Who?
Hughes.
Mr. Hughes, Curtis Hughes, the big cat.
Did I train him?
No, did you ever work with him?
No.
No. No, because I know I know he has a training center down there.
No, I don't know. No, I don't even know him.
Okay. And last question: what was Vince McMahon Senior like compared to his son?
Oh, golly. That's a good question. Well, Mr. McMahon Sr., I never really worked for him because, right about the time that Vince Jr. took over, he died a few months later. And the only contact I had with him was over the telephone. And we kind of shook hands over the telephone, and he said that he would take care of me, and he did. And his son did the same thing. I mean, a lot of people say a lot of things about Vince, and they don't like him and everything, and this and that. We all think about we all do that. All of us, every one of us. We don't always. When you don't get your way, then you're mad at somebody. And let's face it, we all do it. Each and every one of us. And, he's got his hang-ups as well as everybody else got their hang-ups. But he was the boss, and he paid good. It could have been better. And but all in all, he was a good guy to work for. I have both of them were excellent in my, in my belief.
Mm-hmm. Were you shocked when Vince Jr. started actually wrestling?
It's hard for me to hear you. Repeat that.
He wouldn't know if you were shocked when Vince actually got in the ring and started doing wrestling matches.
Yeah. No, it doesn't shock me.
Yeah. I always heard that he used to like the wrestling moves.
He always wanted to do that. I mean, when I used to train and stuff, he used to want to train with us and stuff like that a lot. And no, it doesn't surprise me. He's always wanted to do it.
Thank you so much.
He's better off being a promoter, though, I can tell you that much.
Oh, I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It was so awesome to talk to you.
Great. Thanks talking to you. Thank you.
Thanks for calling in, Jai. We're going to take one last caller here, and we got Ruben on the line. Where are you from, Ruben?
I'm from Austin, Texas.
All right.
Texas.
Gentlemen.
All right.
Well, sir, I've got two questions. The first one, what are your thoughts on the Iron Sheik? And on a more serious question, what do you think about working union for professional wrestlers? And I'm going to go ahead and take the answers offline. And thank you, sir.
Okay. The first one, what do I think about the Sheik? And the second one, I really didn't get it all because it's on my phone here. It's
yeah, you just want to know what you thought about a union in wrestling.
Oh, very good one. Very good one. All right, I'll do it like this. I'll start with the first one, which will take me about 3 seconds. I think the Sheik is fat. Next question, we needed a union.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, we needed a union. If we'd had a union, we'd all would have had insurance. We would have had maybe a retirement. I was all for it. And what it would have taken is for all the top guys to get together and do that and stuck together and just say, hey, if you don't, if everybody would have walked together and at the same time, then they would have given in to it. I believe they would have. Either that or they went out of business. And we could have done something else, which would have been fine with me. But a union is what we needed. And it's sad that we never had one because we needed it. Because there's a lot of people out there and a lot of the guys right now that are crippled and hurt. And, let's face it, most athletes don't know how to save their money. Most of them don't know how to, to do those kind of things. And if they do, they get ripped off somehow or another. So it would have been nice to know if you would have had if we would have had some type of savings and some type of retirement plan, and the insurance would have been great. Because now, if you don't have Social Security or anything, you have to pay for it yourself. But the promoters wouldn't. I'll tell you, the guys would have never done it though. But I was all for it because we've talked about it before, and you got to be real careful, because if it got back to the office, they'd blackball you.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, as far as the Sheik is okay. I feel sorry for him. He had a daughter that died. And I knew his daughter, and my kids knew his daughter, and I just think he's a pitiful man.
Mm-hmm.
Not in a bad way, but just he's all crippled up now, and it's just sad.
Yeah.
You hate to see somebody, can't hardly walk, and just sad.
Yeah. Let everybody know again, you're going to be at Promo Last in Atlanta.
When's that?
That is June 4th and the 5th. You going to be there both days?
What's it to you?
Well, show up both days just in case.
Yeah, I'm going to be there. I'm not sure if I'm going to be there both days or not. I think it's just maybe I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know I'm there on the 5th.
Right.
I know I'm there on the 5th. You got it? People out there? I'll be there on the 5th.
There's one thing I've always wanted to ask you before I let you go, and that's, what did you think about that song that you had later in your WCW career when you were doing the gimmick with the mirror, and it was the song, They Call Me Mr. Wonderful?
Oh, yeah. You know whose idea that was? Jimmy Hart's.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was pretty good, really.
It's still stuck in my head. I never forget that song.
I liked it. I wish I had done it in New York. I wish I'd had it up there because I sure would have used it. I probably would have had my hair and curls and bobby pins and everything else that left up to Jimmy Hart.
What's Jimmy Hart like? He always, whenever we interview anybody, they always say he's just like the nicest guy. I've never heard anyone say anything bad about him.
Oh, You want me to be the first?
Yeah, actually, yeah. We want to hear the dirt on Jimmy Hart.
Nah, Jimmy's okay.
Yeah.
Jimmy's harmless.
Mm-hmm.
He's harmless. You know?
Mm-hmm.
My wife would do me more harm than Jimmy Hart would. A lot more.
Yeah.
And he wears a toupee, too.
Really?
I didn't know that.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
We did get the dirt on Jimmy.
See?
Excellent.
Did you like working with a manager, like when you were with Bobby Heenan?
Not really.
Yeah.
And I figured I didn't need it.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, that's okay. I like Bobby Heenan, and I'm glad I had him, but I never really, you know, in all honesty, I never really cared for a manager.
Mm-hmm.
That's something they've done at New York. They've always done that, so, you know, just so happened, hey, at least he had a job and he made a living, and I was okay with it. But if I had a choice, no, I wouldn't have a manager.
Yeah. Well, we don't want to keep you on here any longer. Really appreciate.
Well, we got 2 more hours.
Well, we can keep you longer if you want.
Are you sure you want to go for the record?
No, I think I'm good. I'm hungry.
He's got a hog on the.
Yeah, I got a hog on the table, in the smoker. Hey, I'd like to meet you guys one day.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Y'all, I don't imagine you're going to be down there, are you?
We won't be at this one, but we've been to some different ones, so hopefully we'll run into you one of these times.
Well, anytime you want to talk to me, you got my number. Keep it to yourself, and I'll be more than happy to do something for you if I can help you in any way.
Awesome. Love to have you back.
Anytime.
All right. Thanks, man. And
I'm sure your ratings will go up, too.
Oh, definitely.
Well, I hope so. Well, you give me a cut of it, buddy. I'll take 1%.
I think
1% over a good rating.
All right.
All right, that's fine. That check will be in the mail, right?
Exactly. I think Orndorff's number here is cutting up.
There you go. Yeah. All right. Good talking to you guys.